doing today's presentation on building your brand. Good morning, Erik.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tori. It's always fun.
Yeah, always.
All right, so we are using a new platform here, so we're going to get through some fun technical issues here. But hopefully you guys can see me and you can hear me, and this turns out to be a good program for you. We're going to be talking about building your brand today. Let me see if I can pull up my slide here. So I want to be able to speak to you guys in the camera and talk to you this way. I only have about 5 slides, so it's not going to be too much on the visual side, but you get to see me and hear me talk, so hopefully that'll work out. But we're going to share our screens here and make sure we can do everything properly and share that. Okay, so there's my presentation, and hopefully you guys can see me as well too. Let's see if I can. Sorry guys, we're just going through this because I can't do this beforehand. I guess we're gonna have to do it that way. Okay, anyway, again, like Tori said, my name is Erik Hammond. I've been in the real estate world for over a decade now, and I love real estate. It's been a lot of fun. I started out in the flipping homes and investing in real estate side of things. I grew up in the Bay Area, was passionate about building and construction, all that kind of stuff. And when the economy changed, I was in commercial general contracting at the time and decided that it was time to get into real estate just because everybody else was getting out of it, right? I wasn't seeing ahead in what was going on. But the banks were failing, mortgages were going crazy, people were losing their houses right and left, and that's when I decided to get into the real estate world. So back in 08 and 09 was when I made that shift. And we started buying rental properties, we started flipping houses, we were doing dozens at a time. It was kind of a crazy adventure at that time, but it was a good experience. And then if you fast forward a little bit, I got my real estate license, which was funny that the real estate license came after the house flipping side of it. But I got my real estate license. I've been licensed now for probably 4 or 5 years. And we grew a team here in San Diego County, and that's where most of my retail transactions have happened. So I helped grow a team here in San Diego where we were selling over 200 homes per year. Again, a crazy time, lots going on. We had a team of about 15 different people with stagers and contractors and all that going on. So real estate has just been a lot of fun, and it's been in my blood. It's just been something I'm super passionate about. So my partner and I, we sold our real estate team 2 years ago, and I was passionate about the growth side of it, the business side of it, the marketing side, and really helping people get more done. And so I still have my license. I still work with a few clients here and there. I was actually out showing houses yesterday to one of my friends. They're actually buying a house here in our town. But so it's something that I'm aware of, that I know what's going on. But then on the other side of it is I love to work with a real estate agent and the struggles that you guys each have in trying to get your message out there, trying to get more clients, and just trying to do more. So that's really what we're going to talk about today. So since you guys can see my whole screen here, you see everything that's going on, we're just going to go shift to the next page here. So the first question that I ask everybody is, why does a real estate agent even need a brand, right? Like if you're thinking, well, if I got into real estate, it's probably me and my name, and that's, you know, how most people know me. What's the point of having a brand? People associate either, you know, the big brand like Allison James, or they think about the individual that they know. You know, if you went and polled a whole bunch of homeowners and said, you know, tell me about somebody that you know in real estate, they're probably going to think of a name, you know, a family member, a friend, a relative, a neighbor, something like that, who sells houses. And they also might consider, you know, bigger companies, Allison James, Keller Williams, things like that. So what's the point of having a brand if you're already kind of in a brand, like a brokerage or something like that? What I think happened over the last, I would say, decade, is that as technologies come up and as people have been more aware of, you know, what's going on a national basis rather than just local, I think that that's one of the biggest things that social media is allowed the world to see, and the internet, is that you can see what's going on outside of just the bubble that you live in. Right now, you're more aware of what's going across what's going on across the country or in other parts of the world that maybe you didn't have access to before. And so that whole thought of building a brand as a real estate agent is becoming more relevant, because you have the opportunity now to stand out and be somebody in the eyes that may have never heard of you before. And so most of the time when we think of a real estate agent, they farm a certain area. I'm sure that most of you guys have done it this way, where you pick, you know, a geographic circle, you identify, you know, 500 to a couple thousand homes that you want to work with, and that's your niche. You know, that's where you work. It's either an area that you live in or an area that has a lot of turnover rate or something going on in that area. And maybe depending on where you live in the country and all that going on, I have some clients who who live in small areas and there's just not enough going on. So they have to start kind of creating these new pockets of farms in other areas, even if you have to cross state boundaries. And so, if you haven't grown up there and people don't know you, how do you get recognized as this, we'll call it brand, right? How do you get recognized as this brand and being identified as an agent who can sell homes in that area? So I think the real reason why an agent needs a brand is to stand out in this busy world. Again, if you ask most homeowners how many people in real estate do you know in your life, they could probably pull up at least 7 names on their phone and say, yeah, they probably do something in real estate. I think 90% of the people I know on my phone are real estate agents just because it's who I associate with. But most people know 7, 8, 10, agents in their life. And so when it comes down to, I've got to sell my house, who am I going to call? Is it going to be my brother? Is it going to be a cousin that sells real estate? Is it going to be the guy next door because I think he's in real estate and I haven't talked to him much? Or is it going to be the expert in my area who knows everything about real estate, who sells most of the homes in my community? So as you think about your brand, it's how people perceive you and it's how you get your message across there. So that's really the main point here is you've got to establish a brand. And you're probably wondering, why do I have this picture of this car emblem? And I would ask you guys to see kind of what your reaction is, but how many of you guys could identify what type of a car this is? If you don't know, it's a Mercedes. You can tell by the little logo there and the screen. It's got that, I don't even know how to describe it, that 3-point symbol, right? And a Mercedes has been around now for about 117 years, 118 years. I think they sold their first car in 1901. So the interesting thing about a Mercedes is you can identify it by looking at about 18 inches of this car, right? It's a logo that represents who they are. It's a brand in our community that we know. Same with Coca-Cola and McDonald's and all these other brands out there that are huge, that have massive followings. But the interesting thing about Mercedes is nowhere on the car does it say its name. Nowhere. Not the back, not the front, not the side, not even inside. Back in the day, so way, way, way back in the day, my mom had this ghetto old Mercedes that we drove around. It was like the slowest car ever. It was diesel. It was just such a beast to drive around. And I remember on the floor mats, it had the initials MBZ. I never knew what that meant. I thought it was maybe the last guy who owned the car, his initials. I had no idea. I didn't know that it meant Mercedes-Benz. So that was the closest thing to actually having the name of the company on their car. What that means is that they've built such a brand that you can identify who they are by simply a 3-point triangle here on their logo. And as you know, most companies are like that, right? Ford spells out their name, but you could identify who they are. Toyota has that little symbol, but they still write Toyota on the car. But Mercedes is such a brand that you identify it by just simply a symbol. So in your business, when you're looking around at the homes that are for sale, do people see a property listing, or do they see a home that's for sale and say, oh, that's John's listing, I would see that anywhere? Is that the kind of brand that you're building? And that's what I want to help you guys identify with today, is saying, when somebody sees my work or your work in the field and in the area that I'm living, are they going to identify that with you? Or is it just, hey, some other real estate agent sold a house in my area? How do you stand out that way? Okay. So that's why you need a brand. You need to be able to stand out. And to go a little bit deeper on this, I think that someone's calling me here. We're going to turn that off. Do you guys get a lot of spam calls? I get so many calls. Anyway, I think that going back to the brand for a second, I think that there's so many real estate agents out there right now in the world, well, at least in your community, right? We have 40,000 of them in our county alone. It's a huge population, and how you stand out amongst your peers, how you show how you're different. Again, for the most part, most of you guys will do the same thing. You can put a sign in the yard, you can list that home on the MLS, you can help with the transaction of it. I know you're thinking, Eric, I do more than that. But generally seeing, that's what most homeowners think you do. They help you sell your house. They take a chunk of money that they don't really want to pay most of the time, and you help them walk through the contract, that complicated, sometimes 10, 15, 20-page contract. And so you have to help the homeowner, your clients, identify how you stand out amongst all your peers in your area. Because we all know that you all have the same license and that you all can do the same thing, but each of you do your own thing in your own special way. Just like Mercedes. Mercedes provides a vehicle unlike most other vehicles out there. They have incredible technology. They have amazing comfort and luxury that a lot of other car companies don't provide. So yes, all these vehicles can get you from point A to point B. They can probably all get you there about the same time. You all probably still have to drive the car. It's not that much of the future yet with Teslas, but they all do the same thing. But as you know, with so many different car brands out there, they're all different in their own way. So think about the brand that you're building and what it is that your clients think that you do. Okay, let's jump to the next slide here. So how do you build a brand online? And that's really the topic that we're going to get into today. Is we are definitely an online world, right? The days of your clients walking into your shop, right? Your office, your space, and not having ever been there before and saying, hey, we're just new here and we would like to buy a house. Or, you know what, I don't know any real estate agents. I'd like you guys to sell my house. Those days are probably over. And maybe there's a few situations where you're in a touristy climate and your shop is in a busy place. I know a couple here that I'm thinking of. They're in busy areas, they're in your restaurants, or where a lot of foot traffic is happening. They post a lot of listings in the window to try to get people's attention. I've been to a couple of ski resorts like that too, right? They keep these offices in the main hub of where people are hanging out because they hope that you're going to have somebody there on vacation. They're going to spend a week of their life there. They're going to fall in love with the area and say, we should look into a house here. I wonder how much it would cost. So you do get that walk-in traffic, but for the most part, you're not going to get your business from just sitting behind a desk at your office. You know that by now. You have to get out. You have to start knocking on doors. You have to pick up the phone. You have to put yourself out there. You have to create ads. You have to do things to get your name, your message out there. And so that's a little bit more of what we're going to talk about today is how you do that and where you do that and how this is possible in the world that we live. You know, my phone rang a second ago. I would say that I'm never more than about 36 inches away from this thing at any given time. People are calling me all the time. They're trying to message me. They're texting me. I would say during this show, I will probably get 30 to 40 emails from people. I'll probably get another 20 to 30 notifications on Facebook. People are direct messaging me. It is a busy device all the time, and my battery's dying all the time, right? Like, we are in a very technologically driven life now. And if you back up 10 years ago, these type of phones didn't exist. The first iPhone probably came out, I want to say it was 2009, and it definitely didn't have the luxuries of what smartphones have today, right? The ability of what social media offers, the presence of the web that it does. I remember my first smartphone had access to the web, but it probably took 4 minutes for me to even load a website on it. The internet was so slow. So here we are today, almost 2020, 10 years later. It's crazy. And you know that most people spend so much time online, right? Like if you've tracked your usage on your cell phone lately, you're probably noticing that you're spending an average of anywhere from an hour to 2 hours on your cell phone a day, depending on what you do for work. I live on this thing all day long, and it says that I use it about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. And I'm trying to use my laptop and my desktop more just because my eyes strain from using such a little device. But still, people are on here all the time. I've read statistics that say the average social media user spends over 40 minutes on Facebook a day. So about half of someone's time on their phone is going to be on a social media device or a social media platform. So how are you building your brand online? How are you communicating? You're probably using Facebook. You're probably using Instagram. Maybe you've even created a few YouTube videos. You probably have a website by now. You know, Tori talked about KV Core for a second there. KV Core has an incredible platform for building landing pages and websites to capture people's information. There's so many different programs out there where you can build a website, you know, within 5 minutes. I would say if you're working on it right now, you could probably have a website up and running by the time this broadcast is over. So it's easier than ever to get yourself online. But at that same point, it's so easy to get yourself online that everybody's doing it. And there's so much distraction out there. There's so many ads that come across your newsfeed. There's banner ads. There's commercials on the radio. There's just stuff going on everywhere. So how do you capture people's attention, right? I love teaching this class in a real environment because I can get feedback from you. But the question I would pose in your mind is, what are you putting out there for the world to see? What type of content are you creating? What type of posts do you put on social media? How are you using Facebook versus Instagram? Are you treating them both the same way? What type of video are you posting to YouTube if you're doing that? Are you writing articles on LinkedIn? Are you sharing, Snapchat stories still? Are you using Twitter and following up on there? So how are you putting content out there? I talk to probably 75 to 100 different real estate agents every single month on the phone. I also teach a bunch of classes, so I get to interact with you guys a lot. And I ask these questions, you know, how are you using social media? What is it that you're doing? And the general response is that they're posting homes that they have for sale or homes that are available in their community, or they're talking about open houses that are coming up. Maybe a few of them are sharing some relevant content about the area or about the market or things going on like that. But for the most part, it's probably just posts about the homes that you're selling. So for example, I have a listing coming up on Friday. I better get it out on social media so that all my followers can check it out, and I get a whole bunch of people to my open house. That's probably a post that you guys are pretty familiar with. And if you're not doing that, I'd ask you, what else are you doing? What type of content are you putting out there? And so I think that that once worked, because not every real estate agent was on social media at a point in time. It was a great place to post that type of content. But what happens now is, as you know, Zillow's a big beast, and they have a lot of people who come to their websites pretty regularly. And so Zillow does a pretty good job of letting people know what's going on in the area and what houses are available. Same with Redfin. So my clients that I'm working with right now, like they're looking for a house. I set them up on a home search. I show them everything that comes on the market in their area in a certain price range that they're looking for. But 9 times out of 10, they're on Redfin and they're on Zillow because it's easier for them to just kind of scroll around and look for what they're looking for. Sure, there's other websites they can go to, but why would they go anywhere else when Redfin and Zillow provide all this information for free? So are they going to be checking out a Facebook ad and saying, oh, here's a new house that I haven't seen before? Maybe it comes up in their feed, but unless they're following you and you haven't spent any money to get that post in front of them, they're probably never going to see it. So that's the trick with social media, is that the organic reach is so low right now. And it's such a struggle to get your message in front of the right people that you have to spend money. And then it becomes a fact that there's so much going on social media and so many ads that are popping up that what makes them stop to read your house or see your post or check out your open house? Okay. So now you're thinking, Eric, you're just doom and gloom here. Like, where are we going with this, right? I got to point to this. It's going to be good. So how do you build this brand online? You have to create content that's going to be relevant to what your clients need. It's not going to be, I just listed a house. It's not going to be, hey guys, I'm going to be at this open house all day Saturday and Sunday. You better stop by and say hi. That's not going to work anymore. You have to think about the value. So let's go back and think about your last 5 clients. Whether they're a buyer or seller, what are they going through right now? What are their struggles? What were they reaching out to you for? If they're selling their house, and I'm just hypothetical here right now, maybe I'll talk about my clients in a second so that you can kind of get a feel of what I'm going through with them. But if you're selling a house for a client, think about, are they moving to a bigger house? Are they moving across town? Are they moving to another state because of a job relocation? Are they retiring and saying, we had this big house forever and all our kids are gone. We just need something simple. Maybe you're dealing with somebody who inherited a property and you're dealing with the emotion of a death or something like that just happened, right? There's a lot of different elements of how that works out. Think about the buyer side. So my clients are moving from about 400 miles away. They used to live here. They went away for a while and now they're coming back. The husband works here full time. He usually gets off work at 7 o'clock at night. So showing houses is a challenge. The wife lives back where they currently live. So she's here this week on spring break. They're trying to see as many houses as they can. It's just crazy, so they're looking online. They're trying to find all this stuff. They don't know what they want because they came from an area that was a lot more affordable. And so they're selling this huge house and now they're having to downsize to a much smaller house to be able to afford to live in this area. So there's a lot going on for them. There's a lot of things to consider. Do I want to be in this school district or do I want some yard? Do I want to be closer to the beach or have a bigger house? What do I want in this property? And so there's a lot going on with that. If you thought about all the little things that are going on in your client's mind as you create content for them. And let me switch to the next slide so you can kind of keep up with where we are. What type of content should an agent create? You need to basically be able to answer the questions and the problems that your clients are seeking. And if you've been selling real estate for a week, you may not know this stuff yet. But if you've ever bought or sold a house yourself, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Or if you've been selling houses for 30 years, you know what I'm talking about. Just think about the last 5 or 10 clients that you have and say, what are the top 10, 20 questions that they had for me? What are some of the concerns that are going on in their mind right now? So we just bought a house about 6 or 7 months ago, and I've owned hundreds of homes in my life. I know real estate inside and out. It's just something I'm familiar with. But every time I buy a house, there's the same things going on, right? So we bought an older house. It was 35 years old, I think, when we bought it, and it had never been anything done to it. The original owners, or the ones that sold it to us, they literally never painted, they never changed the carpet, they never upgraded anything. Same exact house as the day they bought it. Yep. So there's a lot of things to consider with that. You know, how's the roof? How's the water heater? How's the furnace? How's the foundation? Are there termites? We have a lot of termites in this area. You know, what's going on with the plumbing? There was a bunch of plumbing stuff that happened back in the day when they built this house that they sued the builder because they had some issues. All that stuff needed to be identified. If I was just a first-time home buyer and I didn't have a clue when I got into this house, and then I realized after I closed all the things that I was starting to learn about this property after talking to the neighbors, I'd probably be pretty mad at my real estate agent for not telling me what was going on. So think about, if you can prepare your buyers for buying an older house and some of the things that they're going to have to consider. You know, when's this water heater going to burn out? It's already 20 plus years old. Can it make it a little bit longer? Is the furnace going to hold up through the winter? Those are the questions that your buyers probably have. So think about that and think about creating content that's going to answer these questions. So one of the things that I suggest is you probably all know a home inspector, because every home that you guys work with to buy needs a home inspection. And if you don't do that, you definitely need to be working with a home inspector to help your clients buy a house. When we did our home inspection, he was here for 6 hours. He was going through everything. He was scoping the sewer. He was up on the roof, climbing around the attic. He was looking everywhere, tested everything. I knew we were getting into some problems, right? We were buying an old house, but I got a heck of a deal on this house because it hadn't been touched in over 30 years. So I knew these things, but it was good to know what he was looking at and just some of the things to worry about. We have these big trees all over our yard. I was worried that all the roots were growing into the plumbing, so we had all our pipes scoped just to make sure. What if you took that home inspector to the next property that your clients bought, and you showed up a little bit early and you said, hey, you know, John, whatever your home inspector's name is, John, I would love to talk to you on camera, interview you. You know, you all have one of these devices that probably shoots HD video in your pocket at all times. Grab a tripod, whatever it is, and say, you know what, John, I would love to interview you. I'd love to give you some more business, but I also want to talk to you about how you look at these homes. You know, what are you looking at? Tell me about your process. And I know you're going to be here for 6 hours. Let me just follow you around and talk to you for a little bit. You don't have to record the whole thing, but talk to them and say, okay, we've got an asphalt roof or a tile roof or a flat roof or whatever. How do you look at this? You know, what are you looking for? What should my clients be concerned about when you get on this roof and look around and see? You know, if the shingles start to curl or there's maybe some missing pieces, how do you handle that? You know, how long is this roof going to last for? And when it does fail, what are you budgeting for expenses? Maybe that's a good time to bring in your roofer and talk to him about roof replacements or patching things and dealing with the changes that are going to come with the roof, right? Do you see where I'm going here? There's so much value in the contractors and in the people that you already know in your business that you could probably interview all of them through the whole year and have tons of content. And now you're thinking, all right, Eric, I don't know if I'm good at interviewing people. I'm not that great on camera. I say and like, and I stutter and I mumble and whatever. Sure, so did I. I have no compassion for that because so did I. And as you can see here, I still stumble over stuff and I still struggle with stuff and I still have a hard time speaking, but I'm getting better. It's something that I work on every single day. One of the things that I focus on is trying to clear my voice, trying to speak clearly, trying to have a point to my message of where I'm going. I actually took a Toastmasters class for a little while so I could get better at presenting and telling a story and wrapping around. And as you can tell, I'm not perfect at it, but I'm getting better. So be comfortable with video, I guess is my message here. Be able to communicate your message in a way that makes sense. And these videos don't have to be long. Like I said, if he's here for 6 hours, don't feel like you've got to spend 6 hours with him. Make it a 5-minute video and just say, John, tell me about the top 5 things that a client should be concerned about when they buy a house. Is it plumbing? Is it, you know, HVAC systems? Is it the roof? Is it the foundation? What do they need to be concerned of? And let's go talk about those things so that we can address these concerns and bring some value to my clients. Now, the question is, what do I do with all this content when it's created? Where do I put it? How do I put it somewhere? How do I share it with the world? Social media is going to be your best friend. Websites are great, but for the most part, I would encourage you guys this weekend to go and look at your website traffic. If you have a website, you know, www.whateverrealestate.com you have, go check out your traffic. See how many people are coming there. It might be 100, it might be 1,000, it might be 20,000. I have no idea. If you have tons of people coming, great. But what I can tell you is the majority of their traffic is going to be spent on social media and on a mobile device. So be ready to communicate on a mobile device on social media. So post these videos, right? Create a 5-minute video, edit it, make it really interesting. If you don't want to get into editing, the great thing about social media is that almost every platform has a live version of it, meaning that I hit the button, I go live, I say, hey, John, we're live, we're talking to our clients, blah, 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 get all that information out there. And now you can start bringing value to your clients. Post these videos on Facebook, post them on Instagram, put them out there on YouTube, There's a difference between evergreen content, meaning that something that I'm going to create today is going to be relevant and valuable in 3, 5, 10 years from now, like how do I inspect a house or how do I fix my roof? The other side of that is what's only relevant for the next week. Maybe it's a couple houses that are on the market right now, or it's the market conditions and where the real estate market's going right now. Or maybe it's interest rates and how to qualify for a loan right now. That might be relevant for the day. Who knows? There's different types of content that you can create. If you're going to be creating content for Facebook and Instagram, it can be short-term content and long-term content, evergreen. If you're going to be putting video onto YouTube, it needs to be more evergreen content because for the majority of your views, they're going to come in 3, 6, 12 months from now. So in 2022, is that video that you made on the roof with your roofer still going to be relevant? That's what you want to think about. Having content that's going to be able to stick around and keep bringing value to you. So the other side of this is that if you just post this content, only 3% of the people that follow you are going to be able to see what you're posting. That's how Facebook works. They have such a low organic reach. That means if I have 100 followers right now on Facebook and I post a video, 3 out of 100 are going to see that video. Maybe a fourth if I did really well. That means 96 people are never going to see your content. So how do I get it out there? How do I let the world see this? You're going to have to spend money. And that's the struggle is how much money do I spend? How do I spend it? Where do I spend it? How do I pick who sees it? If you've never spent any money on Facebook, it can be a little intimidating. What we found is that with a budget of about $5 a day, you can reach almost 5,000 people a week that are going to watch a video, meaning that 5,000 people are going to have the opportunity to watch this video. And depending on how well you present the content and how interesting it is and how you capture people's attention and making sure that it's in front of the right people at the right time, you might get 400 or 500 people who watch that video all the way to the end. So about a 1%, about a 10% conversion factor. So $5 a day, that's $35 a week. Maybe super high for some of you guys, and some of you say, you know what, I spend that much on lunch today. So think about your budget and what it is that you're willing to spend. And if $5 is too much, the lowest you can spend on a Facebook ad is $1. $1 a day, I think all of you guys can afford 30 bucks a month to try to get your content out there to new people. Most of you guys will probably send some postcards this month or mailers or flyers, or you're going to spend $30 on some other marketing idea. Just try switching it up. Try social media for a little bit and see what that can do for you. You're going to want to identify who your audience is and who you should be speaking to. That's going to lead into our next step here is what's the best way to get started building your brand online? Okay, so you need to identify who your target audience is. We did a poll. We sold about halfway through the year. We were at 100 transactions, and I wanted to say, who's our average client? So we went back and looked at all of the data that we knew about all the 100 homes that we'd sold so far that year. We looked at where they lived. We looked at the age of the house. We looked at how old the client was, whether they were moving out of state, whether they were staying local. Did they downsize? Did they rent after that? Were they male? Were they female? Who was the person that reached out to us, basically, because a lot of them were couples. We just wanted to know as much data as we could about these people. We did that for sellers and we did that for buyers. Well, we found out that in our county, where the average price is about $650,000 to $700,000, at least that's what we were selling, our average seller was 72 years old. That's pretty old for a lot of you guys, because you maybe are working with the 30 and 40-year-olds and you're thinking, oh, 72, I don't know how to deal with them. That was our average age. Our average buyer was 44 years old. 44. I just saw somebody posted a question in one of the groups that I follow on Facebook the other day, and they said, how old were you when you bought your first house? And most of the answers are like 22, 23. I was 29 when I bought our first house. And it's interesting. It's a young demographic of people who buy homes. Our average buyer was 44. Like, they're in a completely different place than the 20-year-olds who are buying houses right out of school or right out of high school, right? Like, different. Like, they're buying condos versus I already have 2 or 3 kids, then I got to buy a bigger house. So when you're thinking about the content that's relevant to your audience, you've got to speak to them. If all you're talking about is condos and new buyers and, you know, easy living, that may not be applicable to your clients if your clients are 44 years old. So understand who your message relates to and understand what 80% of your clients are going to be like. And sure, you're going to have some younger clients and older clients. I mean, we had a 95-year-old client literally who was selling their house and moving into a retired living community. That's the outliers, right? Focus on the 80%. What does 80% of your clients look like? So narrow that down, You can, on Facebook ads, you can choose, what age I want to send my ad to. You can pick where they live geographically. You can pick the interests that they're in. Are they interested in Mercedes? Are they interested in McDonald's? What are they interested in? Have they been to Zillow recently? Are they horseback riders? All that kind of stuff. There's so many cool things that you can do when it comes to targeting ads on Facebook. Line up your audience, get your video ready, put it out there, spend $1 a day and see what happens. You're not going to get 20 people lined up who are saying, oh man, Eric, that was such an incredible video. Come sell my house. No, you're building your brand. I hope you're paying attention. This is a long-term game, okay? This isn't, let me post some content, let me create some Facebook ads, and let me go sell a house in the next week because I created my first Facebook ad. This is a long-term game. We had Facebook ads running for over 9 months before our first transaction came. We're super patient. We knew it was going to be a long-term game. I'm preparing you now. You're creating a brand, a legacy, something that you can hang up your hat one day when you say, I'm out of the real estate world, and you can literally sell your business because of what we're building with you. This isn't, you know what, I sell 10, 20, 30 houses a year, and this is great, and when I'm done, I'm done, and it was a fun ride, I'm out. No, guys, we're helping you build a brand. When we sold our real estate team, we literally sold the team. They got our computers, they got my chair. We sold, I didn't sell people, but the people on our team went with the group. Like, they bought everything. They bought our office space, they bought our lease out, they bought our name, they got everything. And it was something that I could sell. When you're creating your real estate business and your brand, you need to think about it that way. I'm building a business here. And that's what a brand's going to do for you. It's going to allow you to have a retirement someday that you can say, you know what? I've spent my lifetime building this incredible community, these followers, these raving fans. My CRM is full of people that the next agent can pick up and run with. That's what you're going to be selling someday. So when you're building your brand online, think about the brand that you're building. Think about the long-term efforts of what this will do for you. So start creating video. Get to the point where you're comfortable with video. Do it, record it. If you hate it, delete it. That's the best thing about social media. If you don't like it, it can either be gone 24 hours, or you can delete it, or you can just say, you know what? I didn't like it. Let me retake it. I've done plenty of shows where something went wrong. The audio messed up. I had to re-record it. It happens. It's not perfect. You're not perfect. People know that. They like the rawness of it. Just like now, like whatever. I'm in my home office. I got my green screen stuff in the background. I got my door with notes over there. It's just you. People buy you. They buy you as a brand. They understand that they're getting you, a human being. So build that brand, okay? So we're about 35 minutes into this. We're going to get into some Q&A for a little bit, but what I want to talk to you next is about what to do next. I think that a lot of you guys are going to get caught up in the details of what am I doing and what videos do I need to create and where do I go next. And I know Eric said do something with Facebook ads, but I don't know where to click and what to do, and I'm stuck. There's so many different ways you can do this. There's so many different things that you can try. If Facebook's not your thing and you love Instagram, do it on Instagram. If you're more of a LinkedIn person and you're better at typing out stuff and you're a keyboard warrior, go that route. There's 3 ways to communicate online, really. You've got video, which is great. It's basically like the television, right? You've got video, and it's been around forever, whatever, but it's been around for long enough. I won't get into that. My dad told me the story the other day, the first time he saw television, which is kind of funny. You've got great platforms. And then you've got audio, right? People still listen to audio. The radio has been around probably the longest. I guess written has probably been around the longest because you've got books and things like that have been around for centuries. But audio has been around in the new technology longer than video, right? They had radio forever ago. It's still big. Podcasts are huge. We just taught a class on podcasts the other day. Audio is huge. So if you have a great voice and you don't like how you look on video, but you have a great voice, consider doing a podcast or some version of an audio program that you can produce. There's a lot of people that listen to podcasts on a regular basis. The average American right now has a 45-minute commute to work, which means that during that time, they have some earbuds in, they're listening to books, they're listening to podcasts. You could be in their ears for 45 minutes and delivering your content. Maybe it's not 45 minutes, maybe it's only 5, but you could be in there. You can be front and center for them, and they can listen to your content. The point is to get out there. Find what you're comfortable with and do it. Be out there. Try new things. Do something that maybe you haven't considered before. I think Facebook is probably where most of your guys' audience is going to be. It's where most of them are hanging out. If you're selling homes to the 30 to 70-year-olds, that's the place to be. If you're working with the 18 and 19 and 22-year-olds, maybe there's a different platform for you. Instagram is probably the next best bet for that. But I would say if you're going to put any effort into a social media platform right now, Facebook is the one, Instagram is number 2. Okay, so that brings us to our next slide. And what I don't want to make this into is a pitch fest. You know, I'm not here to sell you a ton of stuff, but I want to bring up an opportunity for you. And I know we have quite a few people online right now, and I appreciate you guys being here. But what I want to talk to you guys next about is this thing that we created with Alice and James and Agent Centrex. So I don't know if most of you are familiar with the Agent Centrex Facebook group online. It's been around for several years now. Last time I looked, we had, I can't remember, 15-something thousand people in there. And it's a big public group. There's a lot of resources in there. There's a ton of agents communicating, asking questions, bringing value, which is incredible. But what we did is we took that idea and we made a private group. So this private group, which we're calling the Digital Marketing Concierge Service, it's basically something that Agent Centrex has created along with Alice and James and myself. And what it is we have this private Facebook group that's for you, the real estate agent only. All I do is work with real estate agents, nobody else. Like I have chiropractors calling me and insurance people. I've got a stem cell guy who's interested in talking to me. I only work with real estate agents. You guys are it. I know real estate. I love it. I eat it. I breathe it. It's just everything that I am. I look up here at my bookshelf and all my books are real estate. I know real estate. So what we've done is we've created kind of a 4-point concierge service for you. What happens here is, number one is we do one-on-one social media guiding for you. So basically you have the opportunity to set up a call with me for 30 minutes and have me audit your marketing. Where have you been? What are you doing? What are your goals for the future? I'm going to spend 30 minutes with you on the phone, you and me, just the two of us. And we're going to talk about everything. We're going to look at your social media. We're going to look at your websites where you can talk about your CRM. If you want to talk about mailers or door knocking or anything else that you're doing right now, let's talk about it. See what results you've gotten and see where you want to go. Where are you trying to head into 2020? What are you wanting to accomplish? If you're like, look, I've never done anything on social media, I don't know. Let's talk about that and explore that. If you're like, hey, Eric, I like that podcast idea and I want to explore that more, we can talk about some shows that you can create and the content that you can put into there. If you've spent a couple $100s on Facebook in the past and you're like, look, I've done this Facebook thing, it didn't work for me. Let's talk about that and see maybe some tweaks that you can put into there to get better results. The point is let's see what you've done and let's see where you're going and create a plan for you. So that's 30 minutes. The next part there, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, but this little part right here is the Facebook group. So you have access to this group. It's, again, a private group. We have a class that meets every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So I'm actually doing it right after this class. We're going to go live in there and do it. And what we do is every week we pick a topic. Today we're going to talk about how to stand out on social media. But in other topics, we've talked about how to upload your video to YouTube, how to edit video, how to create the little banner photos that go onto your photos, how to create Snapchat stories, how to edit your LinkedIn account, just everything social media related. And then what happens is the second half of the show, so it's an hour-long show. It's 30 minutes usually of me talking about content and stuff, and then it's 30 minutes of getting your questions answered. And that's the next part here, is live Q&A with Erik. So you get the chance basically to ask me any questions that you want. So today we're going to be talking a couple different things. We have a husband and wife who each have their own separate Facebook business page, and they want to put them together and be able to manage them together and be able to have one effort but show up in different results and be able to handle it together. So we're going to talk about that today. We have clients who ask questions, really, really simple questions about, hey, I can't figure out how to install my Pixel. And maybe that's way more advanced than you ever thought about. Anyway, there's just any question that you want. It's your turn. You get there, we can share your screen. It's through a Zoom call, so I can access your accounts, look at your stuff, really help you one-on-one, but in front of the group so that everybody benefits. And the best part of this is that all these calls are recorded. So if you're like, Eric, I can't make it at 11 o'clock Thursdays because I'm busy selling houses or I have my meetings or I'm doing my thing, great. All this content is recorded and it's in the database. So we've been doing this now for, I think it's been 5 or 6 months since we started this group. And we have 20, 25 weeks of content in there. You have access to all this stuff. So everything that's been recorded before, you can go back and watch. It's like 25 hours of content that's available to you. So what happens is if you click on this link below, and I know it's not going to be clickable, but if you take a screenshot or write it down, it's agentcentrix.com/agentcentrix-partner-agents. If you go visit that website, it's going to tell you more information about what this group is, how to join it. We basically have this one-time offer. And for the next 12 months, you have access to this program. Remember, you get 52 weeks of private classes with me, and right now it's about 40, 50 members, so it's a pretty tight group. You have access to me for a 30-minute phone call. You have a backlog of hours and hours and hours of content, all available for you for $250. So not a bad price. It turns out to be about 20 bucks a month if you think about it that way. It's a one-time payment for the whole entire year. You have access till next March if you sign up today. And it's something that I love. It's been a lot of fun. I know if you go and listen to some of the videos, some of the agents in there who've talked and shared their experiences with the group, it's been incredible. We have some agents who recently have talked about creating their own show and their own content and how it's helped them in their business. It's the people that get stuck with things that they don't know how to get past. So I would say go for it. It's really up to you. It's a $250 investment. And if you can't afford a $250 investment right now, you need to start selling some more houses and do something different. But if you can make that investment in yourself and knowing that we're going to help you get on the right track, we're going to help you fix your social media strategy, we're going to help you start building your brand online, I know it'll be an incredible opportunity for you to see where you are today and where the next 6 and 12 months are going to come from, right? Again, guys, I've been in real estate for a decade. I've sold hundreds and hundreds of houses. We were in the top 1% of real estate agents in the United States, actually, not just California, but in the United States. We were always number 1, 2, or 3 in San Diego. we know our stuff. Like we have an incredible team over here. We provide a lot of value. So I hope you guys can see that value and you know the direction that this is going. So I know that we probably have a few questions. Looks like we still have quite a few people on here. I want to turn the mic back over to Tori and see if there's any questions. And I'm happy to talk about the group or about anything specific to real estate branding that we talked about today that I can help you guys with. So Tori, I'll let it pull back to you.
Perfect. So I did go ahead and put in that Agent Centrex link, the one that Erik was talking about, into the chat of this easy webinar control panel. I did also want to mention, if you're an Allison James agent, we're currently offering Agent Centrex at a discounted rate for Allison James agents only. So if you want more information on that and want to receive Agent Centrex at a discounted rate, please go ahead and email us at support@ajicorporate.com. And I'm going to throw that email address into the chat as well. And so you have two links. You have the agentcentrix.com. You have the support@AJI if you're an Allison James agent wanting to learn more about Agent Centrex. And I'm not seeing any questions right now. I did get one question earlier. Do you have access to the recording of this training? Yes. This recording will be on Allison James University within 48 hours after the end of the webinar. So you will have access to that recording. We can wait around a few minutes, see if we get any questions, but this is your time to ask. So whatever you need, whatever you want to know, it's your time.
Yeah, I think a lot of agents, I'll just get into this story for a second. I think a lot of agents are going to struggle with, what do I say in my content and how often should I do it and how often should I be creating videos? We talk a lot about content in this course in the chat. So if you want to get into, what should my content be about? How do I talk to people? What do I say? Even down to the facts here, I'll just grab this for a second. I've got a wireless lapel mic here that I use in all my shows. What equipment do I need and what camera should I get or what tripod's going to work or how do I record this stuff or how do I upload it or where do I find an editor? All that kind of stuff we can get through. I think to answer kind of one of those big questions is how often should I be creating content? I would say as often as you can. I think a lot of you guys are probably communicating with your audience once a month, if that. I know some of you guys will create content on a quarterly basis, meaning that you're sending out a newsletter, every 2 or 3 months. Try to ramp that up. This is so hard for agents to hear, but I say if you communicate with your audience on a daily basis, you've nailed it. daily. And that's scary because you're like, I don't know what to say on a daily basis. I don't have that much stuff to say. Figure it out. Try to come up with at least once a week, because if you're not talking to your audience once a week, they're probably going to forget about you, and they're going to be listening to somebody else. They're going to be paying attention to what they have to say. So think about what you can communicate with on a regular basis.
Erik, we do have a question for a brand new agent. Would Agent Centrex be beneficial to them, or should they wait until they get through coaching and whatnot first?
Good question. So training is great. You probably have a great coach that's going to help you and figure out the real estate side of things. It's the transactions and how do I fill this out and how do I start talking to my clients and all that. I would say if you're overwhelmed with that, maybe you should wait a little bit. But at the same time, if you can take this on and you're knowing that you've got to start sharing your story, it's time to do both. I would say when you're if there's a life-changing event in your life right now, that's the best time to start creating content. Meaning that if you just got your real estate license and you're coming from another industry, right? Like let's say you were selling cars before, or you were selling medical devices, or you're doing something completely different and you're just like, hey, you know what? I got my license. I'm excited to help people, and this is what I'm going to be doing for the next 20 years or 10 years or whatever it is. This is a great time to start sharing, because you probably already have a social media following. You've been on Facebook. You probably have anywhere from 200 to 1,000 friends. What if your first post was you got your phone out and say, guys, I passed my real estate license. I'm a full-time realtor right now. I'm going through training right now. I am so excited and eager to help you sell your house. Let's rock. And you get into it and you start applying the principles that we're going to be teaching in Agent Centrex. And you can use that with what you're learning in real estate and combine the two and getting your message out there and showing the world that you're being trained by the best, that you're knowing your stuff and that you're able to help them. That's going to be an incredible combination. So if you've got these life-changing events like a new real estate agent, it's an incredible opportunity to get it out there. So my answer, I guess, is do both if you can justify it. But if you're overwhelmed with just trying to figure out how to be a real estate agent, maybe just focus on that for now.
Yeah, and there's always going to be extra training you can do, like Agent Centrex or Agent Centrex in general. So if you are doing your training right now and you're wanting to get through that, Agent Centrex is going to be available in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, or things like that. So it's not necessarily going anywhere, and
it's just not going to be available at that price. We'll put it at that. When we started this a few months ago, it was available to most people for $50. Now we're up to $250. So just know that the more we add to this, the more content we put out there, the more classes we teach, the price is going to go up. So if you're trying to get in now, this is a great price. So I'll put that urgency on there for you.
Good. I do have a quick question that just came to mind for me, and maybe something that some other people are wondering. For Agent Centrex, I know they have access to the recorded videos that you've already done. Now, if they go through, they watch those recorded videos, and they have a question that comes up, can you still answer their questions? And to piggyback on that, will you do repeats of videos that you've done in the past?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Things change. I was actually just using a program last night that I'd used in the past, and they just updated the platform completely. It is so different, and things change. Every week, every month, there's big changes that happen to Facebook. So if we created a video that was 6 months ago about some part of Facebook, it may not be relevant anymore. And that's the other part of being a part of this group, is that it's consistent, current stuff. Things that are changing now. As new technology comes out, we're going to show you how to use it. So answer the first part, definitely. If you watch the video from last September and you're like, Erik, I'm lost. I don't understand what you're talking about here. Ask it in our next class. I'm happy to bring it up. Or if you can't make it to that class and you're stuck, type it into the group. I'm on there all the time. We get questions from here to time. If I can answer it in the group, I will. If you want to, just send me a message in there, that's fine. If it goes deep enough and I think it's going to bring more value to the rest of the group than just answering it one-on-one with you, I'm probably going to make more of a video about it, and maybe we'll even teach a 30-minute class about it. So that's honestly where the content comes from. It's from the responses that I get from you guys and where you are. So number one, go back and watch the content. You're going to have some questions from it. Bring the questions to the group, because if you're asking questions about it, probably somebody else would have the same question. And yeah, we are happy. We usually cover 3, 4, even 5 questions each week, depending on how deep and how long that question goes. But yeah, we're definitely there to answer your questions, and that's why we're here for you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like anyone has any other questions right now. Eric, do you have any contact information you want to put out there or anything like that?
Yeah. I would say so. There's two ways to follow me. We have our business, which is called the Orange Stack. I love the color orange. It's just everything. I'm trying to find something orange in here, but we're called the Orange Stack. Like the color orange and then stack, like a stack of newspapers. So you can follow us on our social media page there on Facebook and Instagram and all that. Or you can follow my brand too. So we create different content for each page. You can follow me. Just check out at Erik Hammond, and you can find me on Facebook or Instagram, all that kind of place. The fun thing about my content is that I get to do it often. I get to talk like this or speak like this pretty often. We do a live show on Mondays on my personal brand page, and it's called Ask Erik Hammond. So we answer your real estate questions. It could be, how do I get more listings this month, or how do I convert people at the door? How do I post an ad on Facebook? All sorts of stuff. It's called the Ask Erik Hammond Show. It's live every Monday. We answer your questions. And then we also do one on Friday called Facebook Friday. And it's Facebook Friday because it's Friday and it's on Facebook. It's as clever as that. And we talk about business growth and mindset and getting through the struggles that people have, right? A lot of you guys struggle with stuff up here in your head, and it's trying to help you get past that. It's how to grow your team. It's how to motivate your team members. It's how to get up in the morning and go and sell more houses and just be better at what you're doing. So I would say if you're interested in following me, those are the two shows that I would engage in. So check out our Facebook page, The Orange Stack, or Erik Hammond, and engage with me on there and send me a message, and I'd love to have you follow along.
Perfect. And I do also want to mention that Erik does a lot with Allison James. Every third Tuesday of the month, we go live on Facebook. He's part of one of our broadcast Tuesdays, and we talk about different topics when it comes to marketing. We've done things such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I think April will be about podcasts.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure you're following our events. And like I said, Erik does a lot with us, and he does have a lot of great knowledge to share, especially because not only is he a digital marketer, but his background is in real estate. So he's the perfect person to work with. So take advantage of the trainings he does with us, like these free trainings, and then also do make sure to check out Agent Centrex because it will be very beneficial for your business. With that said, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. And of course, a very huge thank you to Erik for hosting this month's webinar and giving us such a great presentation and expanding our knowledge as always.
Awesome, guys. Go make the video. Go crush it. Go do
yeah. Get out there and do a video. It gets easier as time goes on.
Yeah.
I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I hope to see you at our next national webinar. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thanks, Tori.